Hey friends. So if you haven't liked Slated for Grace on Facebook or YouTube or slateforgrace.com, I encourage you to do that. But I wanted to talk to you this week about something very important for moms, which is mom guilt. Raise your hand if you have mom guilt. Okay? Mom guilt starts the minute that you pee on the stick and you get a positive result. That is when mom guilt begins. It begins with questions like, oh my gosh, did I have a glass of wine last night? Oh my gosh, was my deli meat cooked enough? Was that a soft cheese? Am I working out too much? Am I not working out enough? Am I too stressed? Am I passing off my stress to my baby? And then you live in that for 9 months. Okay, that guilt, it's all in here. And then the baby comes out of you. And in the midst of that, you've had like thousands of mom guilt questions like, well, what if I don't birth in this way? And what if I labor in this? And what if this happens during labor? And what if I wasn't holding my baby at the minute that he or she came out of me? And so then you have the baby comes out, and then you're like, should I stay at home with my baby? Should I work? Am I around my baby enough? Do I cuddle my baby enough? Do I let my baby cry too much? Do I let them cry it out? Do I not let them cry it out? Do I breastfeed? Do I not breastfeed? When do I start feeding them? What if they choke? That is my fault. I mean, it never ends. It just morphs. It just morphs as they grow up. And then you blame yourself for how they're doing in school, and you blame yourself for what kind of friends they have, or if they have friends, and you blame yourself for every decision. And then you constantly wonder, like, could I have been more patient today? I should have yelled less. I should hug them more, or I hug them too much, or it just never stops. So I want to give you a couple of things when you're dealing with mom guilt in whatever season you're in. Maybe you're in a season where your kids are older and your mom guilt is they're out of the house, like you're empty nesters, and your mom guilt revolves around grandma guilt. Your guilt revolves around, well, what should I have done differently? What could I have done differently? I didn't do this enough. I didn't do this enough. And it's a plague. It's a curse. So here are a couple of things that I really want us to focus on as moms when those thoughts begin to spiral in us, okay? Number one, girl, you're a sinner. You're a sinner. You mess up. That's okay. Could you have handled it differently? Sure. Maybe not. We don't know all the time. Maybe you could have. But you have to recognize, friend, you're not going to do everything perfectly. Because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. So if I mess up today, it's because I mess up every day. I don't know the perfect way to live this life, and I definitely don't know the perfect way to be a mom. I just do what I can. Okay? That's one of the very first things that we have to admit, that we have to confess when we become a Christian, right? Is like, I need Jesus because I don't know how to do this correctly. So like, I need his grace to fill in the gaps of when I mess up, when I don't do things right. So that's the first thing. Just realize, give yourself grace that, like, yeah, you're a sinner. No one's surprised by this. We shouldn't be surprised by this. I'm not going to do everything right today. And that's all right. That's expected because you're not perfect, nor am I. Okay, number two, we have to stop comparing ourselves. We have to stop comparing ourselves to other moms. And we have to stop comparing our kids to other kids. God doesn't do that. God is not comparing you to anyone else. Okay, that's not God's voice. The voices in our heads that go, I bet that mom never does that. I bet that mom didn't do that. Look at her kid. Her kid is so well behaved in this area, in this situation. I bet she did things right. No, she didn't. None of us did. None of us are doing things completely right. Okay? So you have to stop those voices in your head because they're not of God. God's voice is not a condemning voice. God's voice is a loving voice. God's voice is a hey, I've got this. I can fix what is broken here. That's God's voice. God's voice is a restorative voice that says, hey, whatever you butchered today, I got it. I'll help you. I'll take care of it. I can turn anything for the good. So just come to me. Hear my voice. He is the good shepherd. We can't let ourselves be led by other moms. We have to let ourselves be led by what God is saying about us. And he is the great encourager. That's who he is. So you have to stop comparing. You got to capture those thoughts and stop comparing yourself to other moms. Because you know what? You have no idea what's going on in their lives either. Because they're sinners. They're sinners too. We all are. Okay. Number 3, I want you, when you feel that mom guilt, I want you to look at the big picture. Okay. So for instance, like I have a situation with my kid and I just flip out. I lose it. I yell, I scream, I'm really mad in that moment. I feel awful about it. I feel guilty about it. Okay. Let's think about that situation and look at the big picture. Is that who I am to my child all the time? I would say no. That's not who I am. Overall, big picture, what kind of mom am I trying to be? What kind of mom am I exuding each day? Now, every day I have moments where I'm like, ah, okay, that's just being a mom. That's just being a sinner. That's just being my personality. That's just what it is. Okay. But we have to look at the big picture and go, okay, is this a one-time thing or is this a pattern? Now, if this is a pattern of things that are maybe going awry, okay, then maybe the guilt is good. There are some kinds of guilt that are good because they lead us to make different decisions. You know, God is the creator of guilt. He's like, okay, I gave you that alarm system so that you would go, oh, this isn't quite right. I need to fix this. I need to work to fix this thing. Okay. But there are a lot of times when we feel guilt over things and it's like, hey, it was just a bad day. It was just a hard moment. You just didn't know. Give yourself the grace. It's okay. Think big picture. Okay? So I want you to think about that with your guilt. Look at the big picture of what kind of mom you are, what kind of mom you're trying to be. And I would guess that a lot of these situations where you are feeling this guilt of like, oh, I didn't hug them enough today. I wasn't there for them today. But overall, you are. You are there for them. You are listening to them. You know, you are doing those things. Big picture. Okay? Yes, in the little things, we mess up. But are we loving? Are we loving well, big picture? Okay? So I want you to think about that. And number 4, at the end of the day, I want you to forgive yourself. Okay? At the end of the day, forgive yourself. Confess to the Lord God, God, I need you. I don't know how to raise these people. I don't know exactly what to do every day. I don't know exactly what to do. I need you to help me. Say that, forgive yourself, and let it go. His mercies are new every morning. Great is his faithfulness. You go to sleep, you wake up, and it's a new day. And you just keep going. Because you love your kid. You love your kids in the midst of your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities. You love your kid. Big picture. So let those other things go. God is prepared. He's very prepared to use whatever we mess up and turn it for the good. Okay? That's what he does. From the very beginning, he went, oh, wow, you butchered that. Oh, wow. Yeah, that wasn't quite right. But I'm going to cover you. I'm going to make you clothes, Adam and Eve. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep trying because the Lord God works all things for the good. He works all things for the good for those who love him and who are seeking him and called according to his purposes. And that is you. If you're watching this, you're like, hey, guess what? If you are watching this, you care. Right? Like, if you're worried about having mom guilt, that's probably the first step in you being a great mom, because you're like, I feel bad because I'm not a good mom. Well, that kind of makes you a good mom because you're concerned. Okay? The Lord God is a merciful God. He's a forgiving God. He's a loving God. New every day is his faithfulness. He gives us chance after chance after chance. Okay? Children are resilient. Okay? Big picture, children, God created children to be raised by fallible people. It's what he designed. So he knows what to do. And he knows how to care for them. And he gave them to you. And it's okay that you mess up. So I love you, friends. Check out slatedforgrace.com. Subscribe to it. That would be amazing. You get a 7-day devotional. And then you get updates about blog posts and videos and all that jazz. But I hope you have a wonderful day. Relieve yourself of the guilt. Just seek God, open his word up and read something in it. He is love, he is good, he is grace, he is mercy, and he is forgiving. You're very loved. Bye.